Greetings and welcome back, everyone, to the Angry Chicken, the podcast about Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft. I am Garrett Weinzierl, hopefully, for as long as my internet will hold out. And with me tonight is Jocelyn Moffat, and joining us is guest host for the evening, Jamie. A lot of you might know her as Karma. Karma, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on.
Of course.
Jinx. Oh, we had so many technical difficulties trying to get tonight's show off the ground. Apparently, my internet is going crazy. It might have something to do with all the thunderstorms that are happening in my fine state. So if I start getting garbly, folks, I apologize. Really do.
You should probably be fine though, since
Hopefully.
I'm streaming now.
With any luck. So, anyways, Dills couldn't be here tonight. He's off doing some dumb sports thing that no one cares about. It's not Hearthstone. It doesn't matter.
Fair enough.
But welcome to the show, Karma. We've been wanting to have
Thanks.
you for a while now. We were glad that you could come in and just replace Dills. You know, it's
Awesome.
it's just actually just a tryout. You know, it's trial by combat, and at the end of tonight's show, you will go into the gladiatorial arena against Dills, and whoever emerges victorious will be the new co-host.
All right, I like my chances.
What's your weapon of choice? You're gonna go like polearm or mace?
Fists.
Fists. Oh,
Straight
Oh,
fists.
badass.
all right.
Oh yeah, they're weapons.
I take my mitts. Mitts. So how have you? How are you doing? You know, it's the first of a new month. It's a new season starting today. How are you? What's your plans for this season of Hearthstone?
Not sure really. I was just like testing new stuff out today on my stream, and we did a bit of climbing pretty well. We finished up, I think, rank 10 or something.
Oh, nice.
Or after like 4 hours, which is pretty good.
Let's say, yeah, that's a good climb.
Yeah, we were testing out demon lock decks and stuff like that, just like things that farm aggro, basically. Because usually, like at the beginning of the season, there's a bunch of aggro on the ladder. So what I do is I just run a bunch of anti-aggro techs, and it's pretty easy. You just farm them, pretty much.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
that's some good.
Little secret of the beginning of the season, yeah.
Ooh.
So for folks who may be uninitiated with you, I mean you're best known for just streaming Hearthstone. Dills is always talking about how look, Karma's legend again, always be legend rank. I mean, how many seasons in a row have you been legend?
I haven't missed an NA season. I've missed a lot of EU seasons. I think like total I'm up to like 17 or 18 times now.
Wow.
Jeez. That's
Yeah, I've done on EU a few times back when I played a lot, and then now I just kind of focus on NA really.
Gotcha.
Is there any particular reason you do that? Like, do you prefer NA over EU, different metas, or is it just like full on strictly you're from NA, so that's where you play?
No, there's really no difference. I mean, I kind of would probably favor the EU meta a little more recently because it's more control style. NA is super aggro compared to EU. I don't know why I play in NA. It's just I guess where I started, so I just keep playing there. I also think people like to watch it more for whatever reason.
Huh.
Just a ladder.
Yeah, I don't know why. I've been told that. I have no idea why. I could personally care less where I watch a stream someone's climbing on, But
Yeah,
I could
I
see
wonder
where-
if it's like the time zone thing, like where you're streaming on NA time, like people want to watch the ladder that they're competing in.
yeah, maybe that's it.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
We'll go with that.
Yes.
Just
Sure.
say that's the correct
Sure.
answer.
That's right.
So like so when did you kind of like what got you into streaming? I mean, did you start with Hearthstone? Was there games before Hearthstone?
I used to stream Call of Duty. I streamed it probably for like a month or two. I just like one day a week maybe. Just playing like random games, and I was like trying to become on a pro Call of Duty team for the PC, but that ended up like dying because I don't know why. And then I've always just been a competitive person. I just started taking up Hearthstone, and I got really into that, so I just started streaming that.
Nice. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah. I don't know why I started streaming. I just kind of did.
That's
Just
definitely
for fun, I guess, because I like talking to people. Keeps me entertained, Instead of just sitting there on a computer playing by myself. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
well. If it makes you feel better, when I do stream, I'm still pretty much just sitting there on a computer playing by myself.
Yeah, you're
That's
probably
very
like
true.
the worst for interacting with the chat room. It's like you go your whole entire game and then you're like, oh, right, chat room.
Something you need to become accustomed to.
I don't stream Hearthstone, and I feel like Hearthstone's a little, it's a pretty good game for interacting with the chat room. Like when I stream Heroes, and it is impossible to talk to the chat room while
True.
playing Heroes. I can't do it. My brain just doesn't function. I can narrate
Yeah.
what I'm doing, but like trying to take like Q&A, it's tough. Kyle's been doing it recently, and it's impressive as all get out. I don't know how he does it.
I've streamed Heroes maybe 2 or 3 times. It's pretty hard. Pretty hard.
I've seen you stream Heroes a couple times. It's a fun game. It's a very fun game. It's actually like proper launch tonight, which is funny because everyone's been able to play it for a while now. But
Yeah.
It's actually out.
Yeah, they had I tried to tune into that. It was like just music. All I saw was music being played. There's like a huge crowd.
That's exactly what I tuned into. I'm like, man, they're really testing my patience. This is not my jam.
Yeah.
Like
I must have missed.
also like when you log into Heroes, it's like a bunch of like wailing guitar and like kind of cheesy metal. It's like, why didn't they have like that kind of music playing? Like, at what point did we want house music? I'm confused.
Oh, really? See, I haven't logged into it today. I'll be expecting something now when I log in.
No, I meant on the stream that they had.
Oh, on the stream. Oh, okay.
It seemed funky.
Yeah, it was. It was, yeah, exactly like you said. It was like some weird house music with a DJ, and it was just different.
Yeah,
Just very different.
it looked like it was a really good event live. I mean, those kind of things always translate very. It's very weird how they translate to watching it on a stream. I'm sure it was a much different experience being there on the ground floor. But that was an expensive plane ticket, so yeah, didn't. And I'm sure Jocelyn, you're just sitting here being like, "Oh, guys, I like house music. What's wrong with you guys?"
I know, I'm sitting here going, this sounds fantastic.
What are you complaining about?
More beats.
Wonderful.
Oh man, that's going to be another soundbite.
So every time I tune into your stream, Karma, I feel like I can just expect to see Handlock. Now, is Warlock your favorite class? Because you also said you were messing around with Demon Lock today. Like, do you have a favorite class, and is it Warlock?
Yeah, I do. I would say that Warlock is definitely my favorite. And I tend to gravitate more towards. I just think that the hero power is really, really strong. So it like the option to be able to draw into things just based like whenever you need it is something that I really like because there's a lot of experimentation that can go along with that. Like you can make completely silly decks, and if you and it just can sometimes work with Warlock, right? Like kind of like Zoo. But I play everything, but mainly I like to play Handlock the most. I think that's one of the hardest classes to play. It's like a math deck, kind of like Rogue. I like Rogue a lot as well. But I like
I've watched you play Rogue before, and I'm just like, I don't even know how you math like that. Like, I'm just like, you're so good, and I'm sitting there going, oh, well, maybe she could do this, or maybe she could do this, and before I know it, you're just like, pow, 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 done. And I'm like, okay, this is why I don't Rogue.
Yeah, I really enjoy just the harder classes to learn because I think that once you learn the harder classes, that the other classes will come a lot simpler, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's completely true. And I mean, like if you're playing and understanding the harder classes, then it's almost like you have a bit of an advantage over the easier classes. Like you come up against a hunter who, like me, who has no idea how to play Rogue, and it's just like I never know what's coming. I'm just like, well, every turn I play against Rogue, I'm just expecting to be dead because Rogue reasons.
Yeah, that too comes with the fact, especially right now, you're not seeing a lot of rogues. So when you do come up against one, if you're like us and you don't know how to play it, you're kind of just drawing off of past experiences. And right now, you're not getting a lot of past rogue experiences because there's just not a lot of them on the ladder, it seems.
True.
Yeah, which is weird because I think it's a really strong class right now. There have been like a few of my friends who are the top rogue players, I think, were top 20 in the ladder this season with it. So I think it's like a top tier class, but it's very difficult to try and balance, it all depends on if you face aggro or not. You have to balance how much heals you need and stuff like that. It's a very difficult deck to tech, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, just trying to think. So, a lot of ladder play, obviously. Do you stream Arena ever? Like, do you ever make the jump? And does you stream a lot? So, is it any different when you do?
Sometimes I stream Arena. It's very, very seldom. Mainly because I don't know. I feel like they need to add a competitive aspect to Arena, just because I like I said, I'm too competitive to just
win for the
earn
sake of
wins.
winning.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, no,
So
I'm the same way.
I tend to just
so hard to get into Arena because it's just like you start playing and then you win however many games you win and then it just goes away and there's no telling like where you are in terms of everybody else, like who's a good Arena player. It's almost like they need a ladder in Arena or something like that. Like
they do.
Yeah, you need some way, or at least I need some way to compare myself to everybody else. Just comparing myself to me, no good. I can beat me all the time.
The having to draft exactly 30 cards is still the thing that really is a sticking point for me. I don't like that I never get to alter the deck at any point during my run, whether it's 12 wins or 3 losses or anything in between. Just kind of, I don't know, just kind of messes with me. It's like I want a sideboard or something. Like let me pick 35 cards and there's 5 I get to play around with.
That would be cool. See, like all that. Are you from Magic? Are you a Magic player?
Yeah, sort of, kind. Not like hardcore,
Kind of.
but when I do play, it is strictly limited Magic.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The reason I asked was because a lot of the friends I've made through Hearthstone have been Magic players. I've never played any card game before this, except I guess you could consider like poker when I was a kid. I don't know if you would count that.
I mean, I'd consider poker a card game.
But sideboarding is something I'm unfamiliar with, which would be really interesting to see added. It's like when you have things on the side that you can add in at any time, right?
Pretty much, yeah. Well, a lot of times in Magic specifically, in certain tournaments, you can switch them. You can side them in between games. So, and say it's a best of 3. You complete your best of 3. You move on to your next one. At the beginning of it, you have to start with the deck that you registered. But then in between game 2 and 3, you can swap in cards. So I'm not sure how that would obviously translate to Arena, where everything's a best of 1 technically. But I don't know. I'd love to be able to alter the deck just a little bit. Just give me a little bit of deck building during my run. And that would, I don't know, for me, it would do a lot to make me more interested in playing Arena more often. Because otherwise...
Yeah, that'd be a cool thing to see them add.
Yeah.
Maybe like if you hit, X amount of wins, then you get to pick 4 different cards and switch out 4 old ones or something.
Cool. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Especially because like this cynic in me, it's like, well, once I get past like 6 wins, it's gonna be nothing but mage. But if I build my deck from the beginning to be good against mage, it may not be good during those first 6 wins. So it'd be nice if once you get up in the higher wins, then you can start teching in cards that you think will help you against the more winning classes in Arena.
Yeah, it would add like more skill to it, which I think it also lacks a little bit. Not that Arena is skill-less. It's just, I mean, you could make the same argument for ladder as well, but
oh yeah,
it would just add more like interesting dynamic, I guess I should say, instead of skill.
Yeah, no, I mean I wouldn't say, again, not skill-less, but it increases like the skill cap. It just adds a little, just a little bit higher on the ceiling. It doesn't take anything away from the lower end, I don't see, but I don't know. It's interesting. I'm always, my brain is always thinking about how to improve Arena for some reason. We seem to always talk about how we improve ladder here, but my own like pet peeve, like level of interest is like always Arena. I want something new for Arena. I'd love a competitive version of limited Hearthstone.
Really they could like, then that would make you identify which cards aren't working correctly in your deck and your curve and stuff like that. It would add like a whole new dimension to it. I think that would be a really cool idea.
Yeah, I'd love to see it.
So come on, Blizzard. You know how this works.
Yeah, but on the show, we give you a laundry list of things to do, and
you do it next patch.
The world bends to our will.
yes,
Exactly.
That's what my mom tells me.
well, the Blizzard world anyway.
Yeah. So you talked about how like ladder is your main kind of mode of competition, but are you a big tournament player? Do you do a lot of offline stuff, or are you just pretty much ladder?
I used to do a lot of tournaments. I'm mainly known, or my stream took off a little bit when I was in the last call tournament. It was the last, before BlizzCon, they had a tournament that qualified you for BlizzCon, and there were like 1,500 players in it, and I made it to the top 16, and in that tournament, that's where my stream became more known from. And I would love to play more
remember the
tournaments.
sunglasses.
Yeah, the sunglasses. I would love to play in more tournaments. It's just difficult because it's so hard to get invited to them. You have to either be on a team or a major team or have a bigger, more popular stream unless you go through the qualifiers. And qualifiers are difficult for me because they're on the weekends, and usually I'm busy on the weekends. So I'm going to try and get more tournaments, and I enjoy playing them, and I play in them when I can. Basically is the long summation of that.
my daily life is just a day-to-day of just cursing, normal real life reasons that I can't just game more. It's
Yep, exactly. That's what it's like for me on the weekends.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like all the qualifier tournaments are like 5 or 6 hour, events on the weekends. It's just, you have to commit all your time to it.
Yeah, it's intense. I'd like to do more as well. And now too with Heroes, because I play both these games quite a bit, and I'm seeing all these like community Heroes tournaments pop. I'm like, man, I want to play in that, but then I have to corral my 4 other friends or like herding cats, and just it's not gonna happen. I just don't have the time. Man, why wasn't this stuff around when I was like 14 years old and had all the time in the world? Would have been lovely. Now I'm a curmudgeonly, semi-old man.
Oh my god.
We're not starting the old thing again.
You lose, Jocelyn.
I know.
And then we're gonna get like those 7 emails in a row from our listeners who are way more up there and just like, God, you guys aren't that old. You're making me feel terrible. Stop.
True.
Sorry, guys. Sorry.
So you mentioned, I know, like you have a really, really consistent streaming schedule, Karma. You're pretty much every single day, Monday to Friday, there's some sort of tweet from you saying, okay, starting stream, which like I am so jealous of because I'm the worst at being consistent when it comes to streaming. But like every single time I tune in, you have such a great chat room. Like everyone's all there with the karmas and the hugs and the kisses and the hearts. Like there's so much awesome love in your chat room. So how do you go about like cultivating that kind of a community?
I don't know, man, that's a loaded question.
Please.
Well, I really depend a lot on the people who watch my stream. It's not really me, it's more, I would say it's way more them. I mean, I just have amazing people that just enjoy the stream and come in every single time. The Carmi. And they just, I've worked really hard, we worked really hard, I should say, on keeping our channel like positive all the time. Because I would go into these channels and just people would worry about what people are saying, and I just think that it's important to keep your chat about Hearthstone and treating everybody equally and treating everyone with respect, because that's something that my stream is kind of about. So it's just them. It really is all them.
Our chat room's getting all upset now because they're saying that I hate them. That is not what I meant. I was commenting on how awesome Karma's chat room was, not saying that our chat room was not also awesome. But
I am sure there is plenty of crossover.
Exactly. And
there is plenty of crossover.
we've all been in those Twitch chats that are just horrendously awful. So when you see someone as popular as Karma who still has a great chat room, then that's all I'm saying. It's nice to see a positive Twitch chat. That's all.
All right, A-Move TV chat room. If it makes you feel better, let me sprinkle a little love on you. I am so spoiled by the quality of you delightful little fuzzy bunnies that anytime I tune into a tournament or someone else's stream, I don't even give the chat like a second. I immediately minimize it, close it off, make the image bigger. I just don't bother because
Yeah.
I'm so spoiled by the kind, nice people in our chat room, and I just don't want to deal with the anonymous asshats in everyone else's.
Exactly. See, now everyone says you love them, so it's Garrett versus Jocelyn now, apparently.
Exactly. Vote for Garrett in the thing that is not happening, and there's no votes for all the same thing.
But still, vote Garrett.
Hashtag Team Garrett.
Yeah.
Go. But you better spell my name right.
Oh, they're totally not going to.
It's gonna be hashtag Garrett Rage.
They never spell my name right. It's okay.
Well, but you have a different name in like all the different places. Sometimes there's two A's, sometimes there's an H.
Well, my real name, Jamie.
Oh.
It never gets spelled right ever. Everyone always spells it Jamie, and I'm Jaime.
That yeah.
I know how you feel, Garrett.
I only known a few Jamies in my life, and they were all spelt the other way. So I can see why that mistake is made. My
Only
name
my
over the
parents.
phone just doesn't work. Like I said, like if I'm on the phone with someone, they're like, "What's your name, sir?" And I'm like, "Garrett." They're like, "Jared, Garrett? Gary." Okay. I'm like, whatever. Just go with it. It's fun.
Fumbling over the name.
I just need a plumber to come out and take a look at my toilet. It doesn't matter what my name is. So, sorry. Tangent.
Yeah, total tangent.
You were saying, Jocelyn.
Oh, I don't even remember now.
I think you're talking about the super awesome chat room.
Yes, exactly. So we were talking
Both
about
chat rooms.
all the positivity and stuff. And I know, obviously being a female streamer myself, sometimes I've run into some of the crazy negativity. We've seen it already in chat tonight.
Yep.
I'm not talking about you actual chat room people. I'm talking about banned people. Sorry. So with you being a female streamer and streaming so often, do you ever run into negativity surrounding that? Or like if you do, then how do you kind of combat that? Like mentally when you're going into streaming, is it something that you think about, that you have to prepare for, or do you just like not think about it at all?
It was difficult at first when people would say things, because, you know, people always seem to attack the worst things, and it's just something I guess that you have to learn to deal with, unfortunately, because there's always going to be, you know, when you're putting yourself in a public setting, you're exposing yourself to that type of, you know, criticism, I guess you could say, or unnecessary criticism, where I think just being a female streamer is you're automatically subjected to standards that maybe people previously set. So it's definitely difficult. But the way I handle it is kind of, I take it, you know, laughing, as if like, how could you possibly be serious? Like, that's not even half true.
I know. I've seen you like shake off some things that would make me like turn off the stream and just go like run and cry in my bed. Like,
yeah, I laugh at everything. It's just I seriously find it comical sometimes when people type these things to me, that there's like no way that they could actually be sitting there 100%
yeah, would you say that out loud?
No, they wouldn't. That's the thing. You just have to take it with like a grain of salt, I guess.
Yeah.
Shake it off. Like Taylor Swift says. Shake it off.
That Taylor Swift song that I constantly have stuck in my head and have to try and sing in public.
It's so catchy. I don't even like her music. I don't get it.
Oh, it's so true though.
I don't get it. It's like a conundrum to me. I can't figure it out.
I mean, that's kind of a good rule to set. Like anytime you see any type of extreme negativity or vitriol directed in, at you from anonymous people on the internet, which is just to imagine, would this person say something even remotely close to this if we were in a face-to-face meeting? And I really think 9.999 repeating, of course, times out of 10, that the answer is no. Like none of these people would have the stones to say the things that they're saying to people in their, to their face, and they're just trying to get a rise out of you. So you kind of just like,
there's like no reason for you to walk up to somebody and be like, your shirt is ugly or whatever. Like there's just like no reason. Who would do that? That's why I don't understand why someone would go into a stream and immediately, just start typing out negative things. I just don't get it.
Yeah, it always makes me laugh, the ones that are like X number of viewers to flash or something, and I'm just like, what? It's like somebody walking up to you on the street and like being like, if I say I like you 100 times, will you show me your boobs? No. Like, why would you even think that that's a thing that would happen just because you happen to pop into my chat and say 100 viewers and boobs? Like, no.
Yeah, it's just, it's unfortunate, but women are held to a standard, like, I don't know. It's like a stereotype that goes along with female streamers that don't do that have to put up with people who are used to it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense. And I love how hard Garrett's laughing, like he thinks this doesn't actually happen. Like,
no, I know this actually happened. Because I'm so incredibly disgusted by some people on the internet that I have no other way of reacting than laughing, because if I reacted the way I would like to, this show would be slapped with the big of mature ever, the big E explicit for iTunes. Would lose all of our listeners that have children. This kind of stuff really makes me angry, like seething with rage. So I try to just like you said, Carmen, just try and laugh. But yeah, and also Jocelyn, if it makes you feel better, I really wish people would ask me to flash them, because it'd be a nice change of pace.
Garrett, would you flash the stream right now, please?
I hate Jocelyn.
If we get 10 more viewers, will you take your shirt off? Just curious.
I'm not sure if I'm sunburnt right now, so
I could probably make that happen.
Oh, so we get to see super cool tan lines is what you're saying.
No, it's just red, like glowing, like it just looks like, I don't know, it's just bad. You don't want to see it.
I believe me, they do want to see
it. They totally do.
They would want to see it.
Here goes chat.
Yeah, chat's going crazy.
Wrong. Flash or riot. Yeah. Oh. Can't worms, I'd like to close.
Too late, it's already done.
Chat has no discrepancy when it comes to taking shirts off.
No, they don't. We are very gender neutral here at A-Move. Men and women get harassed equally.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh man.
The chat is amazing right
Cameron
now.
Bobby wants me to dye my chest hair.
Yeah. Just a streak, though.
Yeah, just a streak of blonde. The rest can be black.
Yeah.
Like, have it synchronized with the line in your hair.
Yeah.
No,
that would be perfect.
And offset it. Left side, for the head, and then right side for the...
Oh, you could do that. You could, like, make it complete and paint, like, a gold line across your face, too.
Ooh, face paint. I'm on board.
Yeah. You could look like a warrior. That would be awesome.
I'm not sure what kind of warrior is out there bleaching his chest hair, but okay.
Cool ones. Cool ones, please.
That's the kind of weekend warrior I'm not sure I want to be. So. This has been great. Thank you so much, Karma, for coming on the show and ushering in this most awkward of exchanges.
You're very welcome.
I know this is all my fault, but I'm going to blame the guests
completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. It's wonderful. So closing point, gamers, be nice to each other. Can we just be nice?
I don't know, man. That's asking a lot.
Can we do that? I don't...
There are also people that just purely get enjoyment out of seeing people get mad over you know.
That's
Well,
true.
absolutely, and that's the thing. Like, they're trolls. I mean, at the end of the day, they're just there's like trolls that I like that they go off the deep end, but it's all humor, it's all in fun, and then there's like the truly horrible trolls that are just out there to say the most terrible things in the world to get a rise out of people. And it's just it's sad. So
Yeah, it sucks.
but it's good to know that you don't let it affect you. I mean, we talk about it. We've talked about it here before, Jocelyn, and I always give the advice of not feeding the trolls. But Jocelyn knows. She gets these texts from me every now and then. It's like, oh, we got this review, Joss. It's just killing me. They were so mean to me. And Jocelyn's just like, Garrow, why don't you take your own advice? Every now and then it gets to you. There's only so much you can do.
Every now and then, shut up, Jocelyn.
Yeah, and if Justin Robert Young is listening, I believe he said he told me just burn iTunes comments, stop reading them, or something of that nature. He's a wise man. Wise man. So
I would agree with that.
So anyways, let's actually just before we move into this week's news, I do want to mention because I've been lax on bringing it up the last few weeks, that we are into June. So this is the month I'm having another fireside gathering here in Florida in Orlando, and if you want to see more information on that, everyone, you can go to meetup.com/Florida Fireside. It's Saturday, June 20th at 2 p.m. And more info over there. Got some really exciting stuff coming up. We're planning a tournament that I'm pretty sure I can. Yeah, I'm going to say it, even if I can't. It should be a Hearthstone World Championship qualifier fireside gathering. So whoever wins will get a slot in the qualifier for that. We're just trying to hammer out the details, figure out how many slots we can have. So that those details aren't up yet, but we're working on them. So stay tuned to meetup.com/Florida Fireside for more information about that.
That is very cool, dude.
I'm going. Buying a ticket to Florida.
Come on now. It's not, there's worse states that you could go to for one little thing. At least Florida, you can go to Disney and
Harry Potter Land
and beaches. So, yeah, check it out. All right, let's get to this week's Hearthstone news.
Good news, everyone!
And this week's Hearthstone news is very light. We've got a new card back. It's Darnassus themed. I'm a big Night Elf fan, not going to lie. It was the very first tune I ever rolled in World of Warcraft, so I'm very excited about this.
I am not a big Night Elf fan, but I still am super excited about this because, I don't know, for whatever reason, this card back seems really, really detailed, more so than a lot of the other ones recently, but I have no idea how it's going to be animated.
I think it's just going to be glowy.
Probably.
Glow bits everywhere.
Do you think the moon bits are going to glow too?
I'm sure, because they're painted the same color as the Hearthstone bit. Because everything's a bit now, apparently.
Glowing moon bits. Nice.
Show title.
I think we've already had a show title that had to do with glowy moon bits or something.
Did we?
We were talking about Malorn. I remember the title card.
Glowy antler bits.
Antler bits, that's it. I knew there were glowy bits involved in a previous show title.
And Malorn has something to do with the Night Elves because Malfurion likes to talk to him. So we're good. It's all good.
I just spent a whole lot of time in Warcraft absolutely massacring the Night Elf race. So I don't like them. They've been my enemy for a long time.
Well, I mean, I am a Blood Elf now. But there's, Night Elves, they still tug at the heartstrings. You never forget your first tune, man. You never forget your first tune. It's like your first Doctor in Doctor Who or something. It's just, it sticks with you. Sticks with you. And Jocelyn, I know you don't watch Doctor Who, so that analogy will end there. Also, this past weekend, we had the Viagame House Cup number 3. And for the 3 people out there that apparently don't want tournament spoilers, this is your warning. We're going to keep spoiling tournaments because that's how you talk about tournaments. So skip minutes. All right, everyone gone? Cool. Life Coach won. Woo!
Hey, Life Coach.
And I'm told he had one of the most badass intros ever. I did not see it, but
He did. He had the best intro in the history of Hearthstone.
Barry White was involved, I was told.
Barry White was involved. It's great.
Damn, that is good. It's hard to beat the White Barry.
I love Barry White.
Yeah, so Life Coach went up against Strife Crow in the finals. I mean, you can't really ask for a better finals than that. In freaking Dracula Castle.
That's one thing. I mean, these house cups, they're so much fun. They're fun to watch. They're fun for the players. Like, it's so just chill and relaxing and ridiculous. Like, I love, they had a whole entire stream that was just like random player lounge. I mean, they were all dressed up. They had like face makeup on. And at some point, like, Frodan was talking about how he was like walking around the castle in like full costume, and there were like tours of the castle like outside of the tournament, and the kids kept coming up to him and being like, who are you supposed to be? He's like,
You kidding me?
and then he started like going on the tours and stuff with all the kids.
Oh my god.
It's like, that's awesome.
Being dressed up in a public area is always fun. I don't know, Jocelyn, if you've ever gone to a convention or anything in like cosplay. It's
No, not in cosplay. Actually, my first cosplay is going to be at Nertacular this year.
Oh,
Wow.
I'm excited.
Oh wait, we've had this talk. I
Yeah.
shouldn't be excited. I forgot. I'm not excited anymore.
But you were when I first told you, right?
I would be, and then I found out it was like costumes that I don't care about. So
Wrecked.
I'm giving.
Oh my God.
I know, right?
Wrecked.
Right in the
I
face.
was like,
He always
what's
does that.
Is there a Warcraft? And she's like, no,
It's not Warcraft.
I thought it was cool.
Well, it is cool.
I know. I live to give you a hard time.
I know.
It's how we roll. It's how we roll. So I have actually not gotten to see the finals yet because earlier today they weren't up yet on the VODs, but I did check just before the show and the VOD list is complete now. So if you missed the House Cup, you can go back and watch the entire thing in full over on their YouTube or over on the Viagame website. So they do a good job with that. They have a nice, like, even on the official site, they have a really nice library for their VODs and whatnot.
Yeah, I really enjoy. I mean, I tend to really enjoy any of the EU content anyway. But I thought that Rachel and Savitz and Frodan did a really, really good job.
Let's be honest, Jocelyn. Savitz could
I know.
peel an orange, and you would think it was the greatest thing ever.
That's really, really true.
And I
Really
mean
true.
the fruit, not the player. Just to clarify.
Savitz did not peel orange on stream.
Oh man, that's a lot of trial by combat discussions going on in this
I
episode.
definitely think Via Cup is my favorite for sure.
Yep.
Just as Jocelyn said, it's just so much fun to watch. It's much better than, I don't know. I think it's the best tournament so far.
They do a really good job, and I feel like Viagame they've come up really quick. I mean, they had their first stream. It seems like not that long ago. I can't even remember what their first stream was. Was it?
It was
Hack event, wasn't it?
Viagame. I thought it was just the House Cup where they brought the just players into that like 3-story house
Mm-hmm.
and did like a tournament with like everybody,
Mm.
and it was just like a packed house. That's the farthest I remember them.
Gotcha. I could have sworn one of the first things I watched from them was one of the early Hearthstone DreamHack tournaments, but I could be mistaken.
You're probably right.
But whatever the case,
Someone Google it. Go check. Go.
doing a damn good job. So, yeah, check it out. By the way, folks, if you're looking for links, we have them in the show notes over at amove.tv/TAC. Just look for the episode 84 show post, and there'll be a link there. Let's talk some Hearthstone strategy.
Hit it very hard.
Wanna blow something up? Time to pay!
So, Karma, you're our guest today. You've been legend all the times. So
Yep.
it would pick your brain about like giving folks some tips about how to get the legend, you know, how you kind of adapt to the ladder and whatnot. So I guess just to start it out, you know, if I'm sitting here, and I may be, this will sound hypothetical, but it's really just personal questions, and I just decide this is it. This is it, Karma. This is the season that I really want to hit legend. Where do I start?
Okay. First, I would recommend finding a deck that you're most comfortable with, whether that be, you know, Hunter, Zoo, you know, whatever suit floats your boat the best. And that's the first thing that I would do. That's what I did when I first started playing, was I identified the deck that I felt the most comfortable with. And I got to learn the deck through the whole season, inside and out. Again, assuming that you pick a deck that's within the meta. You're gonna like keep beating your head against the wall if you try and pick a deck that doesn't work really well within the meta.
So you mean I can't just pick Dills's milkshake deck and be like, I'm taking this puppy to legend. We're doing this.
Well, but see, the whole idea of the milkshake deck is that you have no idea what's going to be in your deck. You can't learn that thing inside out.
I mean, you kind of can, because then you just have to learn literally every other deck in the meta, and then you're like, well, these are the possibility of the cards I could get. And I'm sorry, this is a joke that has gone on too far already.
I mean, you could take a deck if you tech it incredibly well to the meta. Meaning, you know, you keep track of your stats. One of the things I do is I have an Excel spreadsheet of my wins and losses and percentages that I inputted for calculations, and, you know, I add cards based on those. So I guess if you were super committed and knew the game super well and just didn't have the time to get legend, that you could, theoretically, you could probably get legend with whatever deck you wanted, as long as you were good at teching with it. But if you're just, you know, haven't had the time, or you put in a lot of time and you're stuck around ranks 4 or 5, I would just pick a deck that you're extremely familiar with at first to start off.
Yeah, and I feel like, you know, you mentioned, you know, you could technically make it with any deck if you're good at teching. That's kind of the idea with everyone that does one of their free-to-play stream, you know, free-to-play with Legend or fresh account to Legend, that kind of thing. Because it's been done. We've seen it. People hitting Legend with basically arena decks almost. It's just for cards they happen to scrounge together. So it is possible. Granted, it's not what I feel like the vast majority of players are doing. You know, they're going to Hearthstone, Hearthhead, and they're looking up the popular decks. They're watching tournaments, and they're net decking. That is a really good point. That's something, Jocelyn, you kind of, I feel like you globbed onto early on back in February when you made your first real push. You kind of were like, oh, I need to find a deck and stick with it, and you ended up sticking with, I think, Mech Mage at the time, right?
Yeah, at the time it was Mech Mage, because it was still fairly close to the release of GVG. Mech Mage was huge. It was like Face Hunter was coming down a little bit, and Mech Mage was coming up a little bit, and I was kind of part of Mech Mage in the upswing, and then I just stuck with it for too long. But that was my first real kind of grab onto it, serious competitive deck.
Yeah, I mean, I still see them. I saw one. I got wrecked by one today. You know, they just
They're
got that
still out there.
And I did not have an easy way to remove the Mech Warper behind a Noyatron. It just steamrolled out of control. Snowballed out of control.
Mech Warper, so good.
Yeah.
It's a good card.
So good.
Damn good card. And a Noyatron. Just, you know, you're so angry when you lose, but you're like, oh, at least I got to hear that amazing emote again.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you said you're experimenting with some decks right now. So do you stick with one deck for the whole climb traditionally, or do you find yourself switching a lot?
Usually what I do is I pick a deck that I think is best against, you know, what I'm going against. Or, like, recently I've been playing Demon Lock because there are a ton of hunters. Tons of them. Like, the ladder is just filled with, like, I would say, like, 60% hunter. So, I like to pick, you know, decks that I have good odds against, you know, 60% of the time. So, like early in the season, I will pick an anti-aggro deck. Whatever that be. Like, if I felt like playing Druid, I would just put a lot of anti-aggro in my Druid, or whatever I felt like playing at the given time. And then once I hit, like, in between ranks 6 to Legend, it's really, the meta actually changes a lot to Super Control, which is really weird. It's like there's like different metas based on your rank. And once you get into a certain rank, there's always going to be, you know, the anomaly where there's a guy playing Face Hunter at rank 3. But a majority of the time, it's going to be Control early in the season at the lower ranks.
Gotcha. Okay. I mean,
If that was a lot of talking. if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
No, it does. I mean, it's something we've definitely noticed as well. It's come up on the show a few times, which is there's. I mean, you kind of brought up. There's all these factors to think about, and it's also dependent on time or date when you're playing. How, is it today, day 1 of the season, or is it day 15 or day 20? Because it'll be a different group of decks. In these, like, I don't know, take a sampling of 5 ranks. 20 to 15, 15 to 10, 10 to 5, etc. And it changes. It's like the sliding scale almost.
Yeah, it changes a lot. Like the first week, I would say rank 6 to legend is pretty control. And then once you get into the second week, it leaks a little bit, if that makes sense. You start out at rank 6 to legend is control. Then week 2, it drops from like 6 to 5, and then, so on and so forth. It just like slowly creeps. The control just slowly loses edge because more and more people are trying aggro decks to get closer to legend. That makes sense.
Do you feel like there's a reason for that? Like the folks who started the season off at a fairly high rank, do you think they're playing control? It's just safer. They don't want to lose stars because, once you hit 5, there's no more win streaks. Or is it just seem random to you?
Well, mostly in the beginning of the season, I always assume that there will be a lot of aggro because people are racing to, get up the ranks. Like, oh, I want to get to legend quickly this season, so I'm going to play super aggro and just get as many games out of the way as I can and hopefully hit like a 60% win rate. And I'll just eventually, climb my way up. And then once they get to a certain rank, like better or more mindful players will know that that's what people are trying to do and build control decks that just crush those type of decks at a certain, it's like a random cutoff that's hard to explain. You just have to kind of get a feeling for it when you're playing, and you have to change up your strategy to be able to beat the more control style. Because the stars, you don't get a win streak from 5 on. I think that's a big reason. And the control, like, you value the time spent for each star from 5 and higher, right?
Right.
Because you don't get a win streak. So when you're playing against aggro, control, a super control deck that's built to play against aggro will get that star more often than, a face hunter deck that just gets wrecked in 5 minutes. And you lose your rank quicker, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I almost feel like it's a trap a lot of players fall into as well, who, maybe they haven't played a lot of aggro, but they choose to start their climb with an aggro deck because they think they'll just be able to log more games quicker and thus climb faster. But if they just stuck with a deck that might be slower, that they're much more comfortable with, I mean, if you're winning more consistently, it's still taking less time.
Yeah, that's why you have to decide. I think one of the biggest things about getting legend is understanding the meta. Is like one of the biggest parts of Hearthstone is understanding what you're probably going to face that day, and building or making your deck selection based on that alone. Just because so much of everything you do or encounter is going to be affect obviously your win and loss. So yeah, you just gotta pay attention to that. I think it's like one of the most important things. Top things if you want to get to legend. You have to understand what you're going to go against, know the threats that your opponent's going to play based on your matchups, that type of thing.
Yeah, matchups are really, really important to know, like, not only what you perform well against, but like as soon as you queue into a mage or a rogue or a warrior, what that's likely to be based on the current meta, and then also like what you should even keep in your mulligan phase to try to counter whatever you think you're going to be facing. So I mean, sometimes you can make poor mulligan decisions and kind of screw yourself over, but 9 times out of 10, if you're aware of what you're playing, where you are in the ranks, then you're much more likely to make a good decision. Like right now, 9 times out of 10, you're going to see Patron Warrior. So, you need to kind of keep your spells that do 3 damage, your Frostbolts, your Wraths, so that you can get rid of that patron without it becoming a huge problem.
And it's also really good to understand your opponent's decks as well, even though that takes a long time. Once you get used to, like, once you get well versed in into Hearthstone and into the meta, if you're getting really, really into it, I guess I should say, is knowing what your opponent is likely going to do or want to do in order to win the game, and we call those win conditions. Like especially against Patron Warrior, you have to know, for example, their threats are turn 8, Grim Patrons are going to come down with the charge, or turn 6, Frothing Berserker is going to come down with the charge. You know, Emperor, you know, things that win them the game. And that mainly goes back to, again, knowing your matchups as well as you can. That will really, really help you understand what to play around. It'll help evaluate your card values and that type of thing.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of the things, at least for me right now, I feel like the ladder is kind of the most complex it has ever been, because I feel like almost every deck has multiple archetypes that are feasible. Obviously, Warrior is the big change with Blackrock Mountain. We've only ever had one Warrior, and the BRM came, and it's like, oh my God, guys, we have a second Warrior archetype. Let the balloons fall. But it's the same for, I mean, Warlock's always had multiple archetypes. Mage has always had multiple archetypes.
Hunter.
Hunter now, again, yeah, Hunter now that we have the hybrid Hunter that we're seeing on top of Face Hunter. So, you know, I'm going into these matchups, and I'm not really sure what I'm facing anymore. Even with Patron Warrior, the first few turns can look exactly like a Control Warrior. You're gonna see Fiery War Axe, you're gonna see Armor Smith, you're gonna see Cruel Taskmaster. So it's a lot harder, I feel like, to read your opponents now than it was, you know, a few months ago.
Yeah, definitely. There's just so much diversity on the ladder right now, which is making it really great to play and even more difficult. But the best advice I think that I could give somebody who's, you know, wondering, oh, what do I mulligan here for? It's a mage, but it could be mech mage, or it could be freeze mage, or they are struggling to know. The best advice is, if you're a control player playing against, and you come up against a class that has multiple versions, it's always best to mulligan for aggressive type decks, because if you think of it that way, you'll have more time to allot your hands in a control matchup than you will in an aggressive matchup. So it's always safer to mulligan for aggro. Does that make sense?
That's a really good tip. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're an aggressive deck, I would do the same thing. I would mulligan like you're going to be trying to play against another aggressive deck. Try and get board control, and then just start pushing your damage. But I think it's always best to mulligan like you're playing against aggro.
And for the most part, I mean, a lot of mulligans, there's a few exceptions, obviously Handlock being one of them. You're always looking for low drops. Kind of really no matter what is going on. So, yeah, I mean, you know, if I'm playing my control deck, I'm never really unhappy to, I don't know, I haven't actually played a control deck in a while. I've been forcing myself to play Hybrid Hunter. But I was trying to think, like,
that's probably part of the problem. You're forcing yourself to play something.
I just want a different experience. Played enough Control Paladin for a few months, actually. Yeah. But, you know, thinking back to when I was logging a lot of games with, say, Control Paladin, I was never really unhappy to start with my Zombie Chow, because I sure as hell didn't want it later on down the line. So.
Yeah, there are always going to be those cases where there are cards you just always look for early. Yeah, the meta's awesome right now, though. There's like so many different types of decks out there that I think, like, I completely agree with you that this is the most diverse meta I think we've had so far in Hearthstone.
Yeah.
I think literally every class is being played, but Priest.
Poor Priest.
And even Priest has some.
Yeah, I still see him from time to time. And I feel like Paladin took a dive recently, too.
It did, yeah.
I mean, if I'm not playing, it feels like it.
Well, and it's totally because patrons become so popular, because basically your hero power becomes an enabler for patrons, right? You can just
massive liability.
Yeah, exactly. So with the rise of Patron Warrior, then Paladin just fell right off.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. You give me Muster, which is one of the cards I was most excited about, and then you immediately put a card in that just makes Muster terrible. Thanks, Team 5.
Yeah.
Ironically, I do sub coaching with my subs on my channel, and when we do that, we had a person want to play Paladin this week. We did not lose a single game out of 13 games of Paladin.
Wow.
It was mid-range. And I was floored because I had the same expectations you guys did.
I still, anytime I'm doing games against friends and we're like, let's do a best of 3, I always bring my mid-range Paladin that really doesn't look any different than it did pre-Blackrock Mountain. I think it's still a solid deck.
It does well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's good.
It's not like you're going to be playing Patron Warrior 100% of the time. Heck, I'd be surprised if you went up against Patron Warriors 50% of the time. So if it's a good matchup against every other deck, if that's the only bad matchup, I say go for it and just be conservative with your hero power.
I think mid-range Hunter is probably Paladin's one of the best matchups. I think it's really, really good against mid-range Hunter for whatever reason. I could not explain it to you why. It just is. It just works. I think it's the muster that really helps it out early game.
Muster really helps, and if you're running things like Peacekeepers or anything of that nature, that really neuters their late game of Savannah Highmanes, and you've got your Shredders in there and everything. Being able to take them down to 1 attack.
Yeah, it's
nice.
For whatever reason, it just is awesome against it.
Yeah, it's nice. That was the reason I originally fell in love with Paladin was out of anger against Hunters. All right, what am I gonna do? Paladin, that seems to work. Let's do it, and it worked, and I ended up sticking with them for pretty much the first half of this year. One of the questions we get a lot from players that are hardcore grinding the ladder and really want to make that push is when do you know when to switch to a different deck versus alter the one you're currently using, teching your deck? Do you have a kind of a guideline for yourself that you go by?
It's hard to say exactly. I kind of, because I play so much, I kind of just play what I'm enjoying at the time. And if you're someone who's hardcore playing a lot like I am, I would probably suggest the same thing. Is to just play what you're enjoying. And if you're losing and losing and losing, obviously I think it's time to change. Like if you just continuously get wrecked by like different decks, I think it's best if you could start keeping stats. I think stats is probably one of the best things that you can do to help improve your decks along with your deck building or teching, because you'll know what decks you're losing to and how often you're playing them, and thus be able to tech the one you're enjoying at the time.
And you were saying...
Does that make sense?
Yeah, you were doing that based on, you just have an Excel sheet that you use? You don't use any kind of like tracking program? Nope,
I just use Excel. I could use a tracking program, but I've been using Excel since like the very beginning.
So it's what you're most comfortable with?
Yeah, I'm just used to it. I have like a massive year-old chart that I have. Well, like 8 months old. It's because my friend Joey, who's a handlock player, he did it a long time ago, so I just started doing it.
Yeah, no, it's really smart. I find it's helped me a lot. I use Hearthstone Deck Tracker, which basically does the same thing. And just being able to go back over my stats for the month and stuff and see like what I faced, or even like once I feel like I'm losing a lot, going in and saying like, oh, it feels like all I'm facing is Hunter, and then seeing like, oh, actually that was only 9 matches versus like the 20 I played against Warrior. So, or being able to say like, okay, well, I win 100% of my games against Priest, but I only face 4 priests, versus I have 50-50 against Warrior, but there's so many more of them, and kind of saying like, okay, overall I have a 60% win rate, but I'm not consistent enough against the classes I'm seeing all the time. And like having that kind of information at your disposal is so good. Makes a huge difference.
Yeah, it literally should influence what you're doing if you really want to climb ladder.
Yeah.
Just completely forgot what I was going to say. All right, I'll give it back to you guys, unless I think of it. I completely forgot.
The other really good thing about Deck Tracker is, like chat room just mentioned, you have the ability to do like replays. Like it actually saves like a play-by-play of like what your opponent played, what you played. So you can actually see like, okay, yeah, I lost against a Warrior, but where did I lose? Like, what did I do wrong? And I find that like I spend almost as much time going back into all of my stats and all that information that's available to me now versus like actually like playing the game. So I'm going like, okay, that's where I messed up. That's where I messed up. And I find I've learned so much in the last like 2 to 3 months just trying to do this. Like I wish I had more time to play because I feel like I could be legend right now. But I'm just like, I think that's the big thing that I'm lacking now is just the time to sit and dedicate to playing.
Yeah, it's a lot of time.
It's a lot.
It really is.
Yeah.
The thing I was going to say was that I like using my Excel spreadsheet better than a deck tracker because I can type in what type of deck it was. Like, in Stat Tracker, does it tell you what type of hunter you played or what type of warrior you played?
No.
Okay. That's why I like using Excel better, that I forgot to say earlier, was because I can write in, you know, I played a paladin, but it was an aggro paladin. Or I played hunter, but it was face hunter. Just to differentiate between whether I'm playing aggro or I'm playing more mid-range decks or control decks. Because sometimes the stats will lie.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You can you can view the opponent's deck, like the cards that were played against you, and usually but I mean that is you're going back a lot and going like drilling right down into each individual game as opposed to like some sort of like summary. It'd be really cool if you could like flag things that way of like this was aggro, this was not, you know, and have that be another level of stats.
Yeah, because I'd love to see my win rate against a specific type
of deck. Yeah.
Maybe add someone in chat said add a note section. That would be good.
Yeah, they have that on Hearthstats, don't they? You can get in and type in little notes.
They might.
I kind of fell off the train of keeping up on my Hearthstats once once the phone version came out. I was like, oh, I can't doesn't just automatically upload my stats.
See, it's really funny. Like, I have actually stopped playing ladder on any kind of mobile device because I want to keep track of my competitive games. So I don't play on my phone. I don't play on my iPad. When I'm playing on my phone and my iPad, I'm playing like trying to beat heroic or something, or, you know, trying out something in casual. Like, I'm not actually laddering on my mobile devices anymore. And I'm just like, damn it, I bought these for Hearthstone. Now I'm not even using them for Hearthstone.
You're going hardcore.
Yeah, I know. Hardcore Joss. What the hell happened to me?
Final question, then we'll move on. What do you do when you go on tilt or when you get kind of frustrated? You have a bad losing streak.
I think one of my best advice I could give would be to just take a break. One of the things that is probably one of the worst things about streaming is when I start losing. Typically, if I were off stream, I would just stop and, you know, think about games previously, like, okay, what did I do wrong there? At what point did I lose the game? That's one of the things that I do on stream to help me deal with not being able to stop because I'm streaming, if that makes sense. Like, I'm forced to keep going, even if I want to stop. Because I'm a very emotional player. I get tilted pretty easily. Like 3 or 4 losses in a row, I'm like oozing
raging.
Assault.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. And one of the things that I help cope with is I just think about the game and where I lost it. Like at what point did I end up making the wrong trade and why? Or I should have gone face there to start forcing lethal, or you know, those types of decisions that will improve you next time you are faced with a similar situation. If you don't want to just stop.
Or if you can't stop.
Yeah, if you can't stop, try and think about what you could do to improve the situation. And like a lot of the times when I think about it, I'm like, oh, I lost to that RNG flip. And sometimes it's true that you lose to the RNG, but there are a lot of the times where if you think about it, it's not as RNG as you think it was, which makes me calm down a little. When I didn't lose to chance, I actually lost because I was beaten, which makes me feel better.
Yeah, it's funny. I totally take solace in that too. I hate losing to a rag shot, but I'm a little better when I lose straight up. But
I hate losing the combo. Druid combo just gets me like off the wall. I hate that. Anything but that. Oh my gosh. I'm ready to throw my keyboard across the room when Druid top decks the combo. Oh my god.
Mine are the perfect openers, so like losing to Mech Mage or Mech Shaman.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when you don't even feel like you get a chance to get into the game. Yeah.
It's just like, well, on turn 1, this was out of my control. Wonderful. Really, that's the joke. It's like, I guess I don't get to play Hearthstone today.
There are those games where it's just like, why did I even hit the play button?
Yeah.
I lost from the beginning. Like, this isn't even fair.
Yeah, but it's something that's like so, it's ingrained in card games, just in card games in general. Doesn't matter what card game you decide to play, you can have a game like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You know,
It just happens.
Ignore the existence of individual RNG on specific cards in Hearthstone. You're playing a card game. This is a shuffled deck. Just the order in which you draw your cards is random, and that's always going to be the chance. You know?
Hamaraba in the chat room has got it right on the head. Every single freaking warrior always pulls his fiery war axe. Always, 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 always. It's like, well, I don't even get to play until turn 4 because all my 1, 2, and 3 mana minions have 3 health and they're just gonna die. So screw you, warriors.
They're good at playing warrior. They're very good at
Yeah.
it. It's like the druid that always has wild growth or innovate.
Yep.
Never-
They're so good at druid. They're just so good.
Never happens when I play those classes.
No,
No.
never.
Against those classes, it happens.
Yep.
Yeah, every time. Wild growth into innervate boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hidden text on the fiery war axe, guys. 100% chance to draw.
Yep.
For your opponent.
Except when you play it.
Yeah.
There's an asterisk in the back.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's great. That is so good. Well, thanks for sharing your tips with us.
Oh yeah, for sure, of course.
So, well, let's take a crazy game story, shall we?
Is the whole world gone crazy?
You're in trouble now.
You got it!
You can send your stories over to tacpodcast@gmail.com. Our story today comes to us from listener Lucas, who writes, "Hey, chicken lovers / and obscure South Park reference." That's not that obscure. I remember that episode. Also, please don't call us chicken lovers because I remember that episode. Thank you. Lucas writes, "I was playing the handlock deck I just assembled a few days ago against a priest. I had the board somewhat under control, and Lord Jaraxxus was sitting in my hand costing 8. Thanks, Emperor Thorison. So I just needed an opening to start mwahahaing and infernaling. Instead, I got Blingtron. For 1 second, I was like, oh no, his weapon is totally gonna screw my math. But actually, it gave me a friggin' Doomhammer and him an Eaglehorn Bow. I love that it's a friggin' Doomhammer.
Yeah.
I'm really happy. Long story short, it all boiled down to me having 2 charges left on the Wind Fury weapon, him at 7 life, and a board state about to get seriously out of control. And the thing is, I was so stuck trying my best to start making infernals, but couldn't because the board math was not working out. It dawned on me that I actually knew that I could attack with the Doomhammer and Jaraxxus in the same turn. Turns out 2 + 2 + 3 = 7.
This is something I always get hung up on, is I'm so worried about the board and like what my other, like if he can kill me next turn and what I should trade, and I miss lethal all the time because I'm just like, no, clear the minions, clear the minions, clear the minions.
Yeah, if we were to do like a beginner's guide to Hearthstone, I feel like the first sentence of page 1, even before the table of contents, would be check for lethal.
Check for lethal.
Like, everyone's like, I want to, I'm just coming to the game. What's a mana curve? What are these archetypes? Screw all of that. Check for lethal. End of day
End of
1.
guide.
Like, moving along. Anyway, Lucas says, never underestimate reading freaking Hearthpedia pages of your favorite cards. Quote, note that Jaraxxus is able to attack immediately using Blood Fury, even if the hero he replaced already attacked that turn. Even if attacked twice this turn, yeah, go ahead. Attack 3 times this turn, Warlock. Sorry, weapon user classes. Really enjoy the show. Keep it up. Oh, man. I learned something new today. I didn't know that was the case.
I didn't know that either. It has never come up in any of my Warlock games where I've had a weapon to swing before Jaraxxus. So.
No. Specifically, you mean to tell me, Jocelyn, that you've never equipped Doomhammer on your Warlock and
Nope.
then play
You guys don't run Blingtron? Come on. Where's the creativity?
That will be my milkshake deck. Will be the Blingtron Warlock deck, and my whole win condition will be banking on equipping Doomhammer, having Jiraxis in my hand.
I ran Blingtron in my handlock last season.
Really?
I did, yeah. I ran Blingtron and Ooze.
And,
both
and
of them.
Karma, you know what else I'm going to hope for? I'm going to include Nefarian in my deck, and I'm going to hope I play against a Shaman, and I'm going to hope that I steal Rockbiter.
Rockbiter, yes.
2 Rockbiter weapons.
Yes, that's the plan.
It will happen, folks. This is a statistically sound plan.
The only reason I ran it was to get rid of Deathbite from Control Warrior. That was basically the reason I ran it.
That seems like a...
And for fun. I mean, for fun as well.
Obviously, for fun.
For practical reasons, I had Ooze, but I added Blingtron for fun.
I felt like Blingtron's a really desperate change to your deck to get rid of Deathbite.
It's just so fun.
It'd be really funny if you got another Deathbite.
Like an OP weapon. Oh, that would be awful.
I'm gonna destroy your Deathbite and give you Deathbite.
But at least the death rattle's gone though, so it screws up their turn. That was the thinking, because they'd always sit there, and I'm like, I know you're gonna play patrons next turn, so I'll just throw my Blingtron on the board. Then you don't have your Wind Fury anymore. And I would always, the best thing I ever got was the Gladiator's Longbow. That was like my absolute favorite. Where I'm immune for hitting 10 damage. It was awesome.
That is a pretty sick outcome of Blingtron.
Yep.
That is your dream scenario. Well, Lucas, thank you for sharing your story with us. Again, you can send this over to tacpodcast@gmail.com. Let's round this show out with some emails.
Hello?
Hello, it's me.
Hello?
Just quickly, did you get my message?
Yep.
Oh.
Hello, brother.
And there's Lucas's mwahaha there for him. Email, send them to the same place, tacpodcast@gmail.com. Jocelyn, would you like to take the first email today?
Absolutely. This one comes to us from Random Punk. He says, Dear Angry Chickens, thank you for your podcast and bringing an even brighter side to the already amazing subject that is Hearthstone. I'm curious as to your opinions regarding the lack of women in high-end tournaments of Hearthstone. There have been a few incidents that have drawn attention to this, specifically an event in Finland last year that was male only. I remember that. That was right around Nerdtacular, wasn't it?
I remember that, yeah.
Summer, yeah.
Yes, and I feel like didn't they not end up going through with it, or?
Yeah, there was a whole lot of rage, and then they basically went back on what they said, so they changed their rules.
I very vaguely remember this. This is just filed in my brain under stupid.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Random Punk goes on to say, this was later rethought after much media attention. However, the female presence within the competitive scene still seems to be somewhat absent. What are your thoughts as to why this might be the case? Do you feel girls may shy away due to the male attention that comes with the scene? Many thanks. Tally ho. I love that.
2 women on this show right now, but I'm going to butt my head in here and start it off. I'm joking.
Do it.
What do you guys
do it. Go.
I don't know. I mean, I did a show about StarCraft for 200 or almost 200 episodes, and it was very similar there. It seems to be the case with Hearthstone. I'm not sure why this is the case.
It's really funny because I know a lot of women who play Hearthstone, who do WoW PvP. All of them are really smart, really competitive. I mean, obviously we've got Karma with us today, but it seems so male dominated. I mean, every tournament is just all guys, and I'm not really sure why that is.
I don't know.
I think one of the reasons it is I hope this doesn't come out wrong, but I think some of the reason that it is because I don't think that maybe women want to or have enough, maybe want to have enough or have enough time to dedicate that much time that it takes, or don't think it will come of anything, or because there have been no major women so far, or very few major women so far, that maybe they feel like if they don't, even if they dedicated that much time, that's not worth it. I don't know. That's the only thing that I could think of.
I know, at least for me, personal experience-wise, it took me a really, really long time to be, like comfortable with myself just as a geek, as a gamer, you know, like when I was in high school, I was an athlete, and it was never cool to be a nerd. It was never cool to be a gamer, and you know, everyone would make fun of you, look down on you, whatever. It took me a really long time to get over that, and it took me discovering podcasting and the Frog Pants community, and then starting my own kind of podcast and getting a lot of positive feedback from the community for me to actually be like, yes, I am a gamer, and that's okay. And I mean, I don't know if that's specific to just like geeks and gamers in general or specific to me because I'm a woman, but one way or another, that was my experience growing up. And I mean, I was probably like 25 before I actually just owned it publicly, being like, yeah, I'm a gamer, what of it? So, I mean, maybe that has something to do with it, that it's really difficult for women to come out and say, yeah, I'm a gamer, and be taken seriously.
Could be.
Dead silence.
Could be. I mean, well, I'm just thinking it's like I think there's just so many different reasons. I've played in many tournaments. I've done well in tournaments. I've done well on the ladder. I've tried asking teams if they were interested, and some are interested. You know, some people give me like the, oh, we're too full right now. I've looked at Hearthstone teams anyway. And one of the things that I struggled with, at least early, was being taken seriously. I don't know if that's because I'm a girl or because of the lack of competitiveness that I played in tournaments and stuff like that. But I at least, it's hard to, you know, find, as an aspiring pro, it's hard to, you know, get your feet going or get on stable ground, if that makes sense.
Do you feel like it's just the scene in general now that is kind of difficult? Like if you're an up and comer, it's hard to make a name for yourself. Like I know a lot of our really big streamers are, you know, like we've got Trump, Reynad, just, you know, like why can I not think of anybody? Savitz, you know, just all the really, really big name people seem to have been big name people since beta, and it's really rare now that we get somebody who competes at a really high level and is a complete unknown. So do you think it's just hard to break into the scene now?
Yeah, I do think it's hard. Like the only way that you could get on a team would be, I think networking is really important, number one. And number two would be like consecutively doing well in tournaments. But I think those are like the two main ways to get into teams. And it's difficult because a lot of people are straight from the beta, where I wasn't from the beta. I started playing in, I think April last year or May last year. So I missed out on like 6 months of, you know, Hearthstone action. Mm-hmm. Whereas, you know, that's when all the big people were streaming and doing well in tournaments, was early. Yeah. And I also kind of agree with chat where that a lot of the girls that I talk to have said, I asked them why I'm the only one competing in tournaments out of all of us. And a lot of them said that they get really nervous and they don't like the way that chat reacts to them. Yeah. I have experienced that in tournaments myself. When I go on tournaments and when I've played in tournaments that are broadcasted, like on ESL or Blizzard's tournaments that are on Twitch, when they get a large audience, they like instantly, instead of talking about gameplay, it's like chat just fills with comments about, you know, like all the trolls come out. Exactly. And I think that is difficult for people to deal with. I've struggled with it myself. I'm like, damn, is this even worth it? I mean, like thousands of like lines of just like completely getting, you know, everything about you is getting nitpicked by like individuals, you know?
And then it's not even like one person that makes that nitpicky suggestion and then it just dies. It's like, then it just gets copied, pasted over and over and over again, stupid crap, and people just latch right onto it. It's unbelievably disgusting and definitely a deterrent. Like, I mean, I mentioned before, when I stream, I have a great chat room. Like, they're awesome, and they're, you know, like, it's small. It's usually like 40 or 50 people. I can interact with the whole chat room and I love it. And, you know, I've had people say before, like, oh, well, you know, like if you did this or did that, or, made your camera bigger, or, wore tank tops instead of t-shirts, you'd get more viewers. I'm like, I don't want more viewers. I like the viewers I've got, thanks. And I don't want the kind of viewers that would bring.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a struggle for sure.
Yeah.
Like knowing, you as a streamer, you probably want to grow your channel, but as a female, it's hard to, some people, which road are you going to go down in order to do that?
Yeah. And I think, all of that definitely plays into the high-end tournaments and everything else. Like, I mean, two of the biggest names, I guess, are Nadia and Hafu, probably women personalities. And I mean, Hafu doesn't even play in like ladder type tournaments.
Nope.
Nadia does, like, she's on ladder all the time and she consistently finishes well, but I don't remember her playing in tournaments. Am I just totally...
She doesn't.
Yeah.
No, she doesn't.
Has
Nope.
she given a reason for why she does or doesn't?
Not sure.
Has
I'm
she
not sure.
publicly given a reason for why she does or doesn't?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I think I know Hafu has said that she doesn't like competing in public tournaments. I think it was because of the criticism.
Yeah.
And I actually looked up to Hafu for a while when I was trying to get into the competitive scene. I thought that it was amazing that a woman was being respected for her gameplay, and her chat was really awesome, and she was doing really well. And then she just stopped competing in tournaments. I just couldn't understand why, because I wanted to be exactly like she was, basically. I wanted to compete in tournaments. I wanted to be taken seriously. I wanted to, pave the road for other people to do it, that type of thing, and start getting more acceptance and relevance in the gaming community. And it's really tough. It's extremely difficult, I've come to find out.
Yeah, I'm trying to get. I'm just enjoying listening here. The chat room's like, "Oh, doesn't Garrett say anything?" I'm like, "Well, one, we're not talking about my gender at the moment. Two, this has been really enlightening to listen to. It's just, God, I hear this stuff and it's so frustrating. I mean, I feel like, I don't know, this kind of mob mentality, if I can call it that. It happens in a lot of different ways in a lot of different scenes. And I'm just surprised we haven't seen anyone yet that just kind of, I don't know, a female gamer out there just puts their head down, ignores it, and is just out for blood. Just ranks up win after win after win, takes tournament after tournament after tournament, because that's what it's going to take. It's going to take someone who just ignores any of this negativity.
It's so hard though, dude.
I know. I'm not saying it's easy. That is not what I am saying. And I don't know. It goes back to our earlier conversation, and it's like everyone gives the same advice, which is just give everyone the finger and move on doing what you're doing. And whoever enjoys it, cool, great. Build a community around them and ignore the haters. But it is very hard. It is very hard to ignore the haters, especially when there's so many anonymous jerks.
Interestingly enough, when I did well in a tournament, even though there was a lot of hate in chat, my stream did amazingly well. The response was like overwhelmingly great. So it's really interesting. I haven't done, I don't know. The recent tournaments I've done has been bad, but my first one wasn't as bad. So I don't know what changed. Maybe it was me or certain people performing well at the time. I don't know.
Yeah,
Hard to say.
Yeah, I mean, it could be any number of factors. I'm not sure, and it's hard. It's like I'm trying to come in here with like an analogy. It's like there's no good analogy for this. Not for me. I mean, I don't know what it's like. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's at some point it's like you just got to build a hell of a wall. Like you have to develop a real thick skin, I think, for this kind of thing. And obviously it applies to other things. I mean, the only thing I can like draw from my past experience, I was picked on a lot in grade school for being a nerd, for liking the things I liked. And then I got quite bitter later on down the road when Star Wars started coming back out, and all the cool kids were like, "Oh yeah, I like Star Wars now." It's like, well, F you guys. You guys used to pick on me 2 years ago. And it was something that really affected me as a young kid. And that's, by the time I got to high school, that's why I, got into punk rock and started dressing like a weirdo. And but what was interesting then is, this is probably so off topic. I don't know where I'm going here, but I was like getting into that particular, culture of the, hanging out with the punk kids, going to shows and whatnot it was really interesting because there was a huge lack of judgment. It didn't really matter what it was. You had gay bands like Pansy Division. You had bands with badass female leads like the Distillers. And I mean, even today, one of my favorite bands from Florida, Against Me, has a transgender woman as their lead singer, and just came out with one of I think the strongest albums that has ever been written. And I don't know. It's just like, I love that energy, and I'm just waiting for someone to kind of harness it and just say F it, and I don't give a crap what a bunch of anonymous bastards say online, and just get out there and start taking some tournaments.
Hopefully. I hope I can do that. Prove everybody wrong. That was my objective from the beginning.
It's all going to be karma.
Still my objective now.
Totally got this.
It's just hard. It's hard to do tournaments consistently. You have to it's some serious dedication to put in the time that it takes to, prepare for tournaments and, understand your deck picks and all the time that it takes to go through the tournaments and qualifiers and all that stuff. It is a lot of time.
Yeah, because you're still in school, aren't you?
Yep, I'm in school, and I stream and try to have relationships on the side, and it's like I was saying, the tournaments take up literally all of your day, especially if you do well. The tournament will start on Friday night, and say I win through Friday, it goes from about 6 at night on Friday to about 2 in the morning. Then it's the next day from 4 in the afternoon, if you do well, till 11 or 12 at night. And then on Sunday, they even have more, where it's the same thing. If you do well, it keeps going into the night from midday. It's like your whole weekend just completely filled up with that. And if you're like me, where you're in school and streaming during the week, it's really hard to try and find that time.
Yeah, and someone in chat is also pointing out that a lot of people that actually compete in tournaments have other people, teams, sponsors, whatever, footing the bill for it because, not every big high-profile tournament is going to be in Boston. So if you actually have to go places and compete, then, you got to find that money and that time somewhere. So it's not necessarily just as easy as I'm going to compete in a competitive tournament this weekend. So it's definitely challenging on a whole bunch of different levels.
Yeah, it's difficult.
I can't imagine trying to break into the pro gaming scene, period. It's nuts. Like you said, it's not like... I don't feel like it's a thing where, wherever you live, it's not like you have a local pro gaming scene where you can go and kind of make a name for yourself and move up the ranks. It's if you really want to compete, you have to go fly out to wherever there's a nice big open style tournament that you can get into and hopefully win your way through to the main stage. And like you said, Carmen, the hours you'd have to put into an event like that if you're winning are just obscene.
Yeah, it is obscene. It's like crazy amounts of dedication in order to just even have a chance. And the chance might not even go anywhere.
Yeah.
But with that being said, though, I do think women's achievements in esports are amplified compared to men's.
It's very true. Yeah. When a woman does well, it's like, oh my God, did you see that, whoever got to this place? And, it almost overshadows even in some cases who won the tournament.
Right. Yep. Yep, just take Magic Amy, for example. When she won her tournament, she took off, became really popular, joined a pro team, and, then things happened. But all she did was win a tournament. Yeah. And she got on the team, and,
Versus all the other people that win tournaments and don't go anywhere, unfortunately.
No. Just take mine, for example. When I did really well in my tournament, my stream did really well, and I had overwhelming support, whereas... people who just other guys who just win tournaments, you know, they turn on their stream and they get like, you know, maybe 50 people or 50 extra viewers, or it's like it's not as amplified as when a woman does well.
Yeah, I mean,
It's very complex.
like we could have multiple episodes like about all of this, like trying to break into streaming and build a following there, trying to break into pro gaming, build a following there, even trying to get good enough to become a pro in any game. I mean,
It's just all about time. Just like Legend, it's all about time.
It really is. Like it's really analogous to anything else you can think of. Anything else you're trying to turn into a profession, whether it's a trade, whether it's it's a craft. It doesn't matter. If you want to become a concert pianist, you're gonna have to put tons of hours into playing the piano.
Yeah.
You can't I'm gonna do it and then tomorrow it's gonna happen. It's just impossible.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're kind of going over time here. Jocelyn, is it cool if we just save these emails for next week?
Yeah, that's totally fine. I was going to say it's like almost 1 a.m. and I really got to go.
Yeah, no, I understand. We've had some really good conversations tonight. I feel like. Karma, you've been awesome.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you for being
Thanks for having me.
Your answers. As always, The Angry Chicken is supported by our epic patrons over at patreon.com/TAC. If you become a TAC patron, you get access to the TAC Skype account for our patron call-in episodes every month, as well as the after show video. Not sure there'll be an after show tonight. We're going pretty late. But nonetheless, thanks to all of our patrons. We get to do an extra episode every month. Thank you guys very much. Thank you on this episode to Lance M, Vlad T, Chris B, Brandon Y, and Jim W. Thank you so much for supporting the show. And also, if you're leaving us reviews in the iTunes store, we really appreciate it. Thanks to The Rational Pie. Thank you to Robust Tater Tot, who writes, I laugh, I cry, I get soap in my eye, 10 out of 10. Thank you to Johnny B. Thank you to Chegland. And thank you to Rated R Like a Pirate. Thank
Best name ever.
It's pretty good. The Angry Chicken is a production of amove.tv and frogpants.com. All of our past live shows and other videos can be found over at youtube.com/StarcastShow. Our t-shirt is for sale over at slashloot.com. You can follow us on Twitter at TAC Podcast. We record live every Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on twitch.tv/amovetv or over at alphageekradio.com. And thanks to BrianGriffithMusic.com for our intro music. Karma, you're our guest. Where can folks find you?
You can find me on my Twitch page at twitch.tv/karma. It's very difficult to spell. I did not think of it when I was making my Twitch name. It's KARMAAH. So it's twitch.tv/karma. You can also find me on Twitter at KarmaTV. KARMAH that way. TV, all one word. If you just type Karma into Twitter, I'm pretty sure that comes up, or Karma Hearthstone or something like that. But yeah, that's youtube.com/Karma the Sniper as well, if you want to go that route. It's from Call of Duty.
You mean you don't run Steam Weedle Sniper in all of your hunter decks?
I wish.
I was going to say, don't you love it when you make a name and it's like 5 years later and you're like, oh.
Yeah, I tried so many times to change my name. They won't let me.
Yep.
Yeah, I still have SC on my Reddit name, and I haven't really done StarCraft content for a while now, so kind of doesn't make sense anymore. Hindsight 2020, folks. Everyone really should go check out your stream. It's fun. It's a nice place. It's welcoming.
It is.
Let me know you came from the Angry Chicken.
Yeah. I want I want your chat just flooded with tack.
Yes.
Yeah.
AC up
Me too. Bring it.
But don't spam, folks. Spam is mean.
We have a very warm community at my stream. They'll welcome you with open arms. I guarantee you they will.
Absolutely.
Whereas here we welcome you with open talons. It's scary, but
you get used to it though.
We get good hugs, we promise. So
you need a break. You can always come over to my stream.
Jocelyn, where can folks find you?
Right here on AMove TV every Friday night for the Gamers In. We do that live at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You can also follow me on Twitter. That's at GISGamer, and I have the exact same Twitch handle. So I stream usually Monday nights, although I was pretty busy tonight, but usually Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays. So come check me out.
All right. Folks can find me on Twitter at Garrett Art. I can also be found over at nomoonart.com. That's my graphic design portfolio. Go take a look. And I can be found chatting Heroes of the Storm, where we're going to have a lot to talk about this week on Into the Nexus with Kyle Ferguson. Go check that out. Our sponsors are doghousesystems.com, where you can use the code TAC to get a free 120 gigabyte solid state drive added onto your already amazing Doghouse Systems gaming PC. We thank them for their support. We thank you for listening. And we will see you all next week for episode 85 of The Angry Chicken. Job's done.
Job's done.
Job's done.
Do the chicken
Yes!
talons? Oh.